follow up.
Okay, good. And just so you know that the Trello app is a really great way to do that. And that's what I'm doing now, is going back and going through all of the people that I had made connections with to put them into the Trello app, because it has that automated ability to do the follow-up tracking. So I highly recommend that you do it.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, it's
Will you
fun.
post the app? Will you post it in the chat?
Yes, I'll have to find it, or maybe if Marianne jumps on with us.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see.
Isn't that the one that Tom Chenault's son put together?
Yes, Adrian.
Yes.
It's not the contact mapping app yet. That is still on its way. It's still being conceived right now. And so that's what's happening at this point. But the Trello app is something else that Adrian Chenault and Marinko put together. I think actually Marinko had it and then they worked on it together. And it's really unique because it has all the aspects of the kind of people that we're dealing with, whether they're someone that you're starting out a relationship with or restarting, someone that you are getting to know well, someone that you know very well, like a family member or a close friend. And you can add in little tickers to them, like I've added in for my purposes: patient, prospect, PC, distributor, cross-line, and you go through and you put your contacts that you have with the person, and you put the date and the details of what happened. And then every time you connect with them, you add another comment. So you have this flowing chart that goes so well, so that you can easily go back and see what were the dates of your contact and what was the content. And so it's really, really helpful.
Oh, wow. I'll have to get that and start doing that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and make sure that you go through the link that we have, and it should be posted and possibly pinned on the 65 and a Wake Up page, that that you get into the right section, because you don't want to just go to Trello and sign up yourself, because it's an existing app that people have used for other purposes. But make sure you go into ours, and then it has kind of like a startup ability for us to work from there. So yeah,
great.
but
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Absolutely. Okay, all right, it's just about 9 o'clock. We might wait another couple of minutes and see, because I know Tom is definitely going to be joining us as well. And let me reach out to Marianne.
Now, are you home in Florida, or are you at the beach house?
I'm in Fleming Island. I'm back home. Yeah.
You're back home?
I am back home. Yeah. Yeah. Which is wonderful. I mean, it's great to be at the beach, but it's always good to come home.
That is. I guess it's 2 summers ago, my daughter made the softball World Series. She's a pitcher on a
cool
team.
Yes.
And the girls and I drove to Florida, and we spent a week. And I rented a condo, which was right across from the beach. It was lots of fun.
And where was this?
In Panama City.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the Panhandle, right? Over that side? Yeah.
And it's pretty touristy. I mean, that's what they could pretty much survive on. Because I asked them, I go, what's it like December, January, February? They said, dead. Like, you don't hardly see anybody.
Yeah.
So, but it was tons of fun. I would do it again.
It's really funny because where I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and not the Jersey Shore like the TV show, but a very, very family-oriented little surfing community is 1 square mile. And in the winter, we had 5,000 people. And in the summer, we had 25,000 people.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so I know exactly what that is. So you're a little local and you love the beach and you love to be able to live that life. And then in the summer, then everybody would come from, North Jersey, New York, Long Island, everywhere. And Philadelphia. Philadelphia typically went farther south than where we were. But there, it's funny how different people have different aspects of the beach that they like to attend. But yeah, it's an interesting way to live when you're in a resort community like that. It's kind of funny.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you get excited almost at the end of the season, because that's when you get everything back to yourself.
To
So
normal, yeah.
back to
It was
normal.
so, I couldn't believe they had a baseball World Series, softball World Series, and it was like the end of the La. I mean, people were traveling, getting in like that last minute vacation. I've never seen so many people. I told the girls, I said, if it's walking distance, I think we might just walk because this traffic is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And that's what we did. We walked and we biked, and we knew all the back roads, of course. And so we never traveled down Main Street, and, you know, we just
Mm-hmm.
knew the way to get around because that's what you did, you know? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. All right. So let's get ourselves started. We're just a little bit after 9 o'clock. And of course, we're covering Eric Worre's GoPro. Last week, we covered skill number 4, following up with your prospects. And as I was just discussing with Melissa, I highly recommend that you participate in our Trello app that has been put together by Adrian and Marinko. It's really an incredible way to, hang on one second, there we go. It's really an incredible way to help you follow up, especially if you're doing the 65 and a wake up. It truly does give you an opportunity to follow up and see all that you have done and completed up to this point with your contacts. And so it's really kind of funny because when we get started, we think, oh boy, this is it, I've graduated. Well, no, graduation is just the beginning. And it truly is to the growth in your business. So today we're going to begin skill number 5, helping your prospects become customers or distributors. And that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Because we go through all of these people that we know, and then we go into the point of how do we bring them into the business and at what level. And based upon our 2 ears and our 1 mouth and the communications that we've had, we have the ability to figure out what it is that they are looking for. So chapter 8, helping your prospects become customers or distributors. This skill is a natural byproduct of following up professionally. So as you're walking through the exposure after exposure, our goal of education and understanding is accomplished. And so that's what we're doing. We're figuring out exactly what it is that they are looking for and giving exactly that to them. Okay. Hello, Nancy. Welcome, welcome. So it doesn't mean the prospect will come out and ask you for an order form or an application. It's your job to guide them to that decision. When I read that, it really kind of hit me like a brick, because how many times have you been talking with someone either for a short period of time or continued exposures, right? Have you ever said, gee, I wonder when they're going to ask me? I wonder when they're going to say they're ready to go? Has anybody else had that same feeling as I? And I want you guys to interact with me, okay? Because I want to know that I'm not the only one that's sitting here saying, gee, I thought they were going to call me and tell me, boy, that stuff you sent me was amazing, right? Okay, so remember that we are continually going, welcome, John, we're continually going to the point of creating the next contact. And the truth is, it is our job to guide them to the decision. So we kind of talk about how their conversation and their interest and expression is kind of how we get started, and they're kind of starting the dance, right? And so they're leading the dance, but we're guiding them across the dance floor. So if you can kind of visualize that as how this relationship is working. So the key to success in this area is a combination of having good posture, right? And so we think of good posture as we're standing up tall, we're proud, shoulders back and ready to go, and asking good questions. And it's about the way you carry yourself. So it's not even necessarily the way you look, although that, of course, is an important part of the process, especially when you're dealing with someone face to face. But truthfully, you can have a posture when you are on the telephone. So there isn't a visual that's happening, and you're creating this atmosphere of strength and control in that you are in control of the situation, that you are confident, and people can see it, feel it, and hear it. And it's really interesting because I actually had listened to this really great TED Talk video, and I know that Denise Chenault talked about this in Dallas in her event about the power postures. And one of the best things you can do before you get on a telephone call with somebody, before you head out the door to go have a meeting, is look in the mirror and do a power pose. So you could do your Wonder Woman pose. You can do a successful pose like this. Anything that's going to give you that sensation of, wow, I feel great. I feel strong. I feel healthy. I feel like I've got it all going on and I can conquer the world. That's the posture that you need to have when you're going into these conversations with people. So Eric Worre goes on to explain that in his early years, his posture was terrible. He was trying to get people instead of pursuing the nobler goal of education and understanding. And the prospects could feel his intentions. He was emotionally attached to the outcome. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy. What page? I'm just on the very first page of chapter 8. So I apologize for that. Yes, chapter 8. Thank you so much. So you could say, he says about himself, I was needy. I really, really wanted it, right? And the prospect could feel my emotional attachment, and that usually scared them away, right? So here you are, excited. You want this so bad. You want it to happen in the worst way, and all that comes across is a lack of confidence, fear, and disbelief in yourself, right? That is shocking to me, to think that you are just so excited and you want this to happen, but the other people are going, oh my gosh, I have to run away. I'm done. I can't do this, right? So through the lack of results and without even realizing it, Eric Worre started to assume people were not going to be interested, and that assumption started to seep into everything, which led to the predictable result of the prospect not joining. So because he had a sense of neediness, the prospect perceived it, all of a sudden everything started to fall apart, right? So you need to have that strong base to have that posture in the beginning to make things work properly. So he said that he wasn't properly prepared, didn't have application startup materials or whatever else was necessary. So maybe for us that would be samples, right? Or the answers to the right questions to point them in the right direction. And he said you have to think about what this subconscious impact would have on the prospects. They were very aware of the lack of preparedness on his behalf, right? And he said everything he did projected a lack of belief and a lack of professionalism. Exactly the opposite of what we want to express. So instead of asking questions and listening intently to the answers, I just talked and talked and talked. I was more focused on being interesting than being interested, and prospects don't like that. No one does. Hang on just one moment. Okay. Hold on one second. I apologize for that. Little message from Marianne. Okay. So now we need to go back and pay attention to what professional network marketers do, right? That's our goal. Professionals are emotionally detached from the outcome. So we're going back and establishing the truth for success based upon the mistakes that Eric had made from the beginning of his career, right? The goal, again, we've talked about this for several weeks, is education and understanding while helping a prospect to make a decision that would positively impact their lives. And that could be health, wealth, or time freedom, right? There's any number of ways that we can help them. So this would be the exact opposite of the needy part, right? They aren't trying to get anybody. They're honestly just trying to help. And I can tell you from my personal experience that when you behave in a way that is loving and unselfish and focused on them, people respond in such a beautiful, positive way. And I know that for me, people have always said, you know what, I really enjoy being a part of this company with you because you never made me feel pushed or rushed. I always felt like you really were listening to me and cared about, what I wanted and what I needed. And that's, that was interesting because that was a long time ago that I've had people have said that to me. But I think for me, it may be just a part of who I am as far as being a healthcare practitioner and having that ability to listen and know, listen to those cues that people are giving. And so I hope that I can impart that to you, to listen to the words, the words in between the lines, right? Listen to what's happening because they will tell you in very, very few words, volumes of information about what is important to them. And if you listen intently, you pay attention to them and you listen to what's really being said. So they may answer in one way, but there may be a little bit of a slight twist to what they're saying that really tells you the truth. Sometimes it's hard for people to tell you about what the issue that's going on. If it's a personal physical issue, if it's a personal financial issue. And so really pay attention and listen. And it's okay to go back and ask a question. Say, when you and I last spoke, I heard you say this. And I just want to know if when you said that, did you mean this? And go back and ask them what it is that they were doing. And it also shows that you care enough to understand what it is that they are where they're coming from, right? Okay. So second, we're going to talk about that professional network marketers are assumptive in their approach. They expect the person to join because their belief is that the opportunity would benefit the prospect, and that belief is very strong, rock solid. That's incredible. They're actually shocked when people don't decide to get in. And I've had that feeling, has anybody else had that where you're like, what? How could you not want this? This is the greatest thing in the world, right? When you know what you've got is incredible, it makes it come to a point where you think, I have no idea why they wouldn't want to, but it is their choice. And you respect that. And then you love them and then come back and love them some more, right? So the third thing is they promote themselves as much as they promote the product or the opportunity. And so that is, they're going to help the prospect make the decision by saying, you get me. I come along in this package because you're creating a partnership. So we're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And that's part of what we're presenting to the prospect on the other side of the table. Now, remember, this is not saying I'm going to do it all for you. It's more like we have a great product, a great opportunity, and I'm going to take this thing to the top and we can do it together, right? There's a big difference. So don't get in the habit of saying, I'm going to do it all, because that's an impossibility, right? Fourth, professional network marketers are always prepared. They have everything they need to get a person started right then. And say, when someone says, I'm ready, you hit the ground running. You got to be prepared to go. Okay. And fifth, professional network marketers ask question after question after question and are great listeners, right? We can't mention that enough. 2 ears, 1 mouth. So they're like a consultant helping a person with a problem. The best consultants in the world have to ask a bunch of questions before they can offer a solution. You got to know what's wrong before you can fix somebody, right? We need to know what it is that they need so that we can give it to them. And so, truthfully, questions are our most important tool. And this is interesting because Eric Worre said it took him a while to figure all this out, and that was just half the battle. It's one thing to have the information, and it's another to put it all into action. So we can know this in our head, but to be able to integrate it into our being, into who we are. Hey, Lorene, how are you, sweetheart? When we can pull ourselves together and know that what we've got is real and true, and we put it into action, that's where the rubber meets the road. Okay? So this is really cool because there is a process in this. When we talk about the things that are going through this shift as we come from not understanding to understanding more, he would say about himself when he figured out all of this and now he had to put it into action, I acted emotionally detached. I really wasn't at the beginning, he says parenthetically. I started to act very assumptive that people would join. I really wasn't at the beginning. I started to tell people, and you get me, even though I didn't think that was such a huge benefit at the beginning, right? So he's faking it till he makes it. That's what we all need to do. So we're learning, right? And this is a learning process. As we go forward, we need to be able to put these tools into effect, and it becomes layer upon layer, and we become better and better as we progress further. And so as time went on, Eric Worre said, he acted less and less and believed more and more. So you continue to get it, faking it till you make it, until the final point where you actually believe that what you are promoting is true and real. So if you were a consultant and your job was to figure out if an opportunity was a good fit for your client, what would you do? You would have to ask questions. So instead of asking them, so what'd you think? That's going to lead nowhere. Learn to ask questions that lead in a positive direction. Remember, they're starting the dance, but we're gliding them across the dance floor, right? So, did it make sense to you? What did you like best about what you just saw? Pretty exciting, isn't it? Can you see how this could be an opportunity for you? So, the one that Eric Worre uses most is, what did you like best? Because no matter what, it's positive. It's something they like best. It doesn't matter if they like to put green polish on their shoe. Whatever they like best, that's terrific. It's great because it's for them. And you be excited for them no matter what it is that they tell you. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, so the answer is almost always positive. It gives you clues as to the area in which they are most interested. And then he would go on to say, so let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 meaning you have zero interest and 10 that you are ready to get started right now, where are you? And they're going to give you a number, and it's usually obvious from their number that they either need more information before they'll make a decision, or they're ready to get started right now. So if they need more information, what do? Guide them to the next exposure. But if they're ready to get started, we're going to ask a series of 4 questions, okay? And he calls this the 4-question close. So question 1, based on what you've just seen, if you were to get started with this company on a part-time basis, approximately how much would you need to earn per month in order to make this worth your time, right? Instead of asking this question, most distributors will say, so how'd you like to make $10,000 a month, right? Don't do that, okay? Don't prescribe what you think they want. Just ask them what it would take to make it worth their time and wait for their answer. Again, whatever it is that they say is the right answer. The only right answer is what they say. So question 2, approximately how many hours could you commit each week to develop that kind of income? So now you've got them thinking. They're looking at themselves and saying, okay, let me think in my calendar. Okay, how much time can I invest to get that kind of money, right? So again, their answer is the right answer. Okay, question 3, how many months would you work those kind of hours in order to develop that kind of income? And again, now they're still back in their head thinking, okay, what is their level of commitment if they want the income from question 1? So you're helping them to create a reality. Whereas if you say, how'd you like to earn 10 grand a month? That's not something that you can just make up. You have to show them how to create the ability to do so. Question 4, if I could show you how to develop an income of whatever their answer is per month, working whatever their answer was for the hours a week over the course of what period of months when would you be ready to get started? Okay. Most of the time you'll get a positive answer to the question. And when people say, yeah, sure, show me how. Yeah, I would like to get started. You now can start figuring out pulling out the compensation plan, showing them exactly what they need to do in order to make that happen, right? And sketch out a reasonable game plan to achieve their goals, right? There are some times that people will have unrealistic expectations, right? So they can say, well, I want to make 10 grand a month working 2 hours a week for 1 month, right? And that's not going to happen. That's that pie in the sky. That's the lottery. That's a dream. That is not creating a sense of reality in your business. Okay. So if somebody comes to you with that particular comment, you can say, I'm sorry, but your expectations are way too high. You can get to $10,000 a month, but it's going to take more hours and more months than you're willing to commit. Right? If you're willing to change those expectations, we can talk. So do you hear that? If you are willing to change your expectations, we can talk. So what you've done is you've shown them that you are not going to entertain any type of a silly mindset, right? You're going to have to be realistic with me if we're going to do this the right way. That's what you're telling them in not so many words, but it's basically saying, when you're ready to talk, I'm ready to listen, right? Okay, so if you don't get a positive answer to those 4 questions, don't worry about it. That's okay. It just means they need more exposures before they're ready to make that next step, right? So schedule the next one and then repeat the process when you're done. This skill is going to take practice, but it's a skill that will serve you for the rest of your career. If you're tired of having too many people thinking about it and not enough taking action, this process will help. So this is a quick, short little chapter. So now what I'd like to do is open the floor for questions. So who's got a question or a comment? You can either write it or unmute yourself. Sharon, are you working out? You look like you're working out. Yeah, good job. I love it. I love it. What part is the most difficult for you guys? What do you think? What's the hard part? What's the easy part? What is your experience? I want to hear some feedback from you. Is there any one spot you're stuck on? What do you think? You guys are all rock stars. You have no concern. Nancy, are you working up, getting ready to talk? You are? Okay, there you go. Hey.
Hey. Well, I was just in Florida.
Yes.
And I had a CSI with a prospect.
Okay, good.
But because I'm so passionate, well, my personality, I love the information. That's my personality. I love information. I love to know why and how and all that kind of stuff about my products and what it's doing to me and how it works and, and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not content to just put something in my mouth without knowing why I'm putting it in my mouth. Mm-hmm. So I find myself when I'm talking to somebody, because of my passion and because of all I've learned and researched or whatever, I'm the throw up kind of person.
Right.
And, so that's a big deal for me to learn to shut up. Okay. But the prospect, she was really excited. And she had done the health evaluation prior to our meeting. I made sure she did that so that we had a ground floor place to start. And that's why we were meeting, because of her issues. And I mean, I think I did it right as far as she wanted to lose weight, but that really she had female surgery and it had put on a bunch of weight and whatever. But she was having her big issues were strong. I mean, I have never seen numbers as high as what she had.
Wow.
Way over hundreds. And I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, and basically came back to her structural, her bone, and and she kept going back to the weight loss. And I kept trying to, even when I met with her afterwards, and again, and she just kept saying, I need that Rev, and I need that, because she saw that I had been using she knew that I was on that Rev 90 challenge. And I kept trying to just carefully say, but that's not your priority, and because I didn't want her to just take Rev and lose weight and still be in as much pain as she was with her physical. And I kept trying to encourage her, that's not your primary goal. Let's not lose focus of where you're really at. And, by taking the basic supplement package, I believe you will find yourself losing weight, because you will become, so I mean, was that the right thing to do, to kind of keep steering her back to the central focus, or let her run with where she wants to go on just weight loss?
Great question. That is a great question. I'm going to mute you for just a second, okay? Because then I don't get the feedback, but I'll unmute you again so we can interact on this. That is terrific. And my first question to you is, how did you know this person? Did you just happen to meet her there, or you knew her and were going to connect with her when you got there?
She's a waitress for a local restaurant that my son has built a relationship with the owners, and I have done health evaluation and energy foot spas and stuff with the owners of the restaurant. And because they're on a healthy journey, and so they wanted, when she saw me come in, when the restaurant owner saw me come in, she was like, "Oh, I've got somebody I want you to meet, whatever. And this is my waitress." And so it was that kind of connection.
Okay. All right. So this is your first interaction with this person, correct? Right. Okay. All right. And she was so excited by what she had heard from her bosses and from your son and from you being there, that she wanted to get involved, and you had her do the health evaluation form. Okay, great. So did you also refer her to the page that talks about Doc Wallach?
I did encourage her to go, because I gave her the additional website for the information. I said, you really need to listen to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie, because of your passion, and what I'm feeling from you, and where you're wanting to go, and your needs. I said, you really, 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 it would be advantageous for you to listen to this Dead Doctors Don't Lie on this page.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, so you did some really, really great things, and I think that you were loving and kind, and your heart was that the truth, that if she were to use the 90 for life, that just in and of itself, that she could potentially, by avoiding the bad foods, by going gluten-free, following Doc's protocol and the 90 for life, that she would probably start losing weight. Okay. However, she wanted to buy something from you. She was believing something from you and from her bosses, that this would work, and that you've been going through the Rev 90. And what I would say is that let her give a try. And if she has the access to Facebook, let her become involved in the Rev 90, because I would believe that in the group, there would be people other than you that could be third-party validation for her, other than the fact that Doc's protocol that she completed based upon her questions would help her to understand, hey, you know what? This Rev 90 is called that because of the 90 for life, right? And so she would get that kind of off the cuff commenting from other people, and they would say, hey, so you're not seeing the results that you would like to see. You've been doing the Rev 90. Which of the dietary plans are you using, right? And do you know that in those plans, it would include this integration of the 90 for life, right? And so I think, and the other thing too is, it's over now, but we had for the month of October, we had that special deal for every bottle of Rev that someone purchased, they would get a free spice. And so it would be a way for her to see another aspect of our product line that was like a little nifty bonus. So I hope, did you get her set up as a preferred customer and get her the Rev so she?
Well, no, I did not, because when we left, she had just moved. Financially, she was not able to order anything on her own. She had to go home and talk to a family member to see about the finances. And so when I met her again, I said, well, how's it going, kind of thing. And she says, she said, I'm not able to do it financially right now. She says, but I am saving all my tips with this in mind. My goal is all my tips are going to this product. So
to the Rev.
Well, to wherever we end up. I mean, I wrote down a basic protocol without making it too expansive for her, but a basic protocol. And, she wanted the Rev in there. And so I wrote down the names and the product and the prices for her. And she took that list with her as a framework of how much money she needs to save to get started.
Okay, terrific. Okay, so that's good, because whenever someone is ready to do something, you don't want to pull away from them. You want to say, okay, let's do this and get you started. And then you can drip on them a little bit more with a little bit more information. So now you have the ability, while she's in the process, you can even bring her into that Rev 90 Facebook page, right? And let her get started in there. Let her kind of get involved and see that. You can set her up and get her started as a preferred customer and bring her in when she's ready to do that. And by then she'll really be excited, because she'll see all of the great things that are going on. And then she'll have an opportunity for doing a shift and a growth, because once people realize what they're missing in their lives with 90 for Life and the program that we have, they'll figure it out. Because if she's changing her lifestyle, then she'll find ways to avoid all of the garbage foods and the other things that she can now find the time, because she's got to eat, right? And so the choices that she makes, these things are going to change her life. So I hope that you are loving on her and dripping on her as we go forward. Does that help at all?
Thank you, because that gives me some ideas. Another thing that I noticed that a couple other items, she saw what I ordered at the restaurant, and she goes, "Oh, so that is what you're eating?" And I said, "Mm-hmm." Because I had left off this and changed this and modified that to fit my plan. And so she made note of that, that of what I was eating, was for one. And then the other thing, when she told me she was saving all of her tips, and she was still excited. She just knew it would take longer to get to where she wanted to be. But I said, well, you know what? That's going to make you appreciate where you go much more, because you've had to work so hard to get there. She goes, I know, and I'm willing to do that. So
beautiful. Thank you for that. I love that story. That was lovely, because it is true. And the fact is that we need to be willing to forego our own expectations based upon what their abilities and their needs are. And, at first it sounded to me like you were so upset in a way about her not being able to jump in full force. But I think the way that it all turned out was perfect. It was beautiful. And so you showed her the love that she needs to make a change in her life. And those changes can be life changing. You know, when we see what happens, when we see what just happened with Lance Gordon, right? We know that these differences that we make in our lives can be a matter of life or death, right? We need to make these changes. And so most of us are very sensitive and aware because we have this understanding and knowledge. It's how can we best impart this to them so that they figure it out without feeling like we're throwing up on them or we're pushing them to do something that they're not ready to do, right?
Today's what you just read, I mean, what we just went through, and the detachment, because I didn't know her. And so I went in fully expecting really great immediate results, you know, oh, I've got a new customer today, you know, kind of thing, mentality, because of what the owner had told me, you know. So I kind of went in there with these really high expectations, but quickly realized I had to drop those expectations and let's move where she's at.
Beautiful.
And this is where she's at, and just let go with what, you know, what I had gone in to expect. So
beautiful. Well, thank you for that, Nancy. I really love that.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So who else? Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Anything that we've covered in the book up so far, or specifically in this chapter? Any more examples? You guys are quiet and easy today.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My mom signed up under me, right after I did. And she's in her late 60s on no medication. Well, about 7 weeks ago, she fell and broke her kneecap in two, had surgery and had it wired back together. And it's been in a brace, a straight brace. Well, anyway, our FedEx driver has all these health issues, and he's been kind of following my mom on her journey. Well, she started therapy a week ago, and she said, you know, it's doing really good. And before, she'd had meniscus surgery and had to do therapy twice. So when she went, it was already at an 80-degree angle that she could bend it, and it has been straight for like 6 weeks. So she went back the next week, and it's at 130. And this week they started weights, and then she went today, and they've started heavier. Well, anyway, kind of to get to my story, our FedEx driver has tons and tons of health issues, like joint issues. And so my mom has just kind of slowly been prospecting. Well, when I was in the store on Tuesday, he made a delivery, and he's like, okay, I want to know something. What are you taking? And so anyway, she's going to have a meeting or coffee with him. And so I think she got a sign up just with her journey.
Absolutely.
Which is really kind of incredible, because she's never really had a testimony, because when she started the products, she was in really, really good health. So someone that comes in that maybe has tons of health issues is going to notice the difference really quickly, where for her, she was already in good health. And so she didn't notice the results like maybe someone else with tons of health issues. So now she has a testimony with her knee because she did so well, and now she's probably going to get a sign up from just that health testimony.
Absolutely. And I thank you, Melissa, for sharing that. And that's a great example. And we did talk about that last week in our skill set 4, because we were talking about borrowing the testimony of others if we don't have a testimony ourselves, whether that be a product or an income testimony. Remember, we can't make claims about our income for them or others, and we also can't claim to treat, prevent, cure, or mitigate diseases, but we can say, here's where I was, this is what I did, and this is what I found. And so that feel, felt, found. Like, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Here's what I found. And by sharing information, and then by sharing the health evaluation form, which I think is really invaluable. You've got to be able to take that into consideration, because if you do that, Melissa, if your mom does that and has the delivery fellow fill out the health evaluation form, it'll tell him exactly what it is that he needs. And that's how she should put it with him. Say, listen, this is what I've been taking, and I did it based upon what my needs were. And so to find out exactly what it is that you need, fill out this health evaluation form. And then if he wants to know how it works or why it works, you can give him the information about Doc Wallach. But it sounds to me like he has already understood that this will work, and he's willing to try it. So just by completing the health evaluation form and then going through that, and you may need to help her. I don't know what her level of expertise is with using that.
Right. I will have to help her on that. And she did tell him, she said, when you get on the products, she said, we don't cure, diagnose. And she said, it may take you a little longer, to know everybody's body is different. So, in 3 weeks, you may have total remarkable testimony, or, you may have to be on the products 3 months before you really notice anything. She did tell him that. So I was glad.
That was terrific. And actually, the best thing that you can say to anyone about that is the fact that most doctors, when they start any protocol, will recommend that you continue on a particular new regimen for 90 days in order to see the expected results. And so the same would go for anything that you integrate new into your lifestyle, including 90 for life. So that's where it's a great thing to bring in the idea of the CEO pack, because of the number of products that we have in there. Whether it's for one person, they can use that CEO pack over the course of 3 months.
Right.
So think
exactly.
about that,
Yeah.
And the best thing to do too is now that he wants to try it, say, hey, listen, I don't know if it's going to work for you, but it worked for me, and keeping it in the simplest terms. And that's probably why your mom was able to do it. It's the fact that you're doing as I do, or see what I'm doing, not just what I'm saying. And that's what Nancy was talking about before, when she said, the waitress said to her, you're really going to eat that? Because you can talk about it all you want, but to actually live the life and to be an example. So people are going to watch what you do, just like children. You may say things, but they're going to watch what you're doing as opposed to listen to what your words are. And Nancy put in a beautiful point. Yeah, don't understand that I haven't arrived. I'm still learning in the school of hard knocks for sure. Yeah, I'm right there with you, girlfriend, because I'm in the same boat. So yeah, no, I know that the day that I stop learning is the day that I am no longer in my physical body. And Lorene adds, if your gut is not in good order, nothing will be absorbed. Walk the walk and talk the talk. Absolutely. So that's the other thing too. If someone is only willing to go so far, or if someone only has so much, help them to understand what might be the best choice for them within their financial ability to help them to get on the healthy path. I've done that with a gentleman who is training in the police academy in the Carolinas. And what we do, and he actually now orders twice a month. So we order once in the beginning of the month and once in the middle of the month, based upon his his income when it comes in. And what I do is I go through the social selling with him. So if for every $75, he can get one item at 50% off, if that's the only way that he could do it. But then what he does is he orders way more than he would have originally planned on, which I find incredibly fascinating, right? So, you start to help people to see that you're not trying to get them. Remember, that's what Eric Worre was saying. I'm not trying to get you. I'm not trying to get your money. I'm trying to help you. So let me help you to do this more easily and more efficiently. And all of a sudden, they're knocking on the door saying, oh, you know what? I need some more of that, or I'm out of this, or I need this. And it all comes together. Right. Don't sell, educate. Correct. Yes, and the CEO pack is a great value for anybody who's getting started in the 90-day start. Absolutely. And that is a great thing to teach so that people can begin to do the right things right from the get-go as they train others. So good input. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Melissa, for that. That was wonderful. Okay, anybody else? We just have about 10 minutes left. If you've got some more questions, comments, or concerns. I see that Colleen and Susanna have joined us. So what else do we have? Any other questions? Nancy, are you jumping back into?
I was walking the mall the other day can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're very soft.
Yeah, I couldn't find my microphone, my extra microphone, so I'll come a little closer. Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you, Sharon.
I was doing a walk on the mall the other day and ran into this young man, about 22, who was peddling sausage and cheese from I don't know, like a Christmas kiosk thing in the middle of the mall, just selling stuff. And he was just offering free samples, and he was just the most pleasant kid, not pushy. Asked me if I wanted a free sample. I said, no, that's okay. And I walked by, came around, came back, and I said, you know what? I said, I appreciate just the way you handled yourself. You did a great. So anyway, he gave me his email address and information, and we're having our first coffee shop interview tomorrow, 1:00. And he said he needs money. That's as far as we've gone. And I'm just afraid that I'm going to talk too much. I'm going to get myself into the valley of death and just, you know, you can make money doing this. And he said he doesn't have any money. He wants a full-time job and he's working part-time. So I just wonder, what should we do? Should I offer the services or go through some of the options, or just talk tomorrow? We really haven't had a chance to talk. We're going to a bookstore, so wondered what you thought.
Talk. Yeah, great question.
Okay.
I would say just talk. You're creating a relationship with somebody, and you want this relationship to be long lasting. So are you in 65 and a Wake Up with us?
I've been listening. And I've been doing, but I haven't been, I've been commenting, but I haven't been started my days or anything, but I'm learning.
Okay.
I'm an observer.
Well, that's fine. And that's okay. Yeah. Dipping the toe in the water is fine. And I recognize your name, so I know that I've seen you in the halls, but so you understand the whole thing about the coffee shop interview, that it's really about creating depth. And you want to get to know them on such a level so that it'll come to a point where all of a sudden, right now, you think that money is the issue. But money may not really be the issue. Okay. It could be, but you don't know him well enough yet. And so that's just true. Love him and listen and absorb. Okay. And we also have the new Trello app that is a great way for tracking your contact information and for following up. And so I would highly recommend that you get that started as well. Okay. And I don't have the link handy here,
but I have it, Pamela Ann, somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. I know that Marianne had posted it in 65 and a Wake Up as well. And so we'll make sure that that's up where you can get into it.
He mentioned too, he said, I'm anxious to see how you can help me. And I'm like, okay, so how do I transition from there to just talking about what he needs, I guess, is another
right. Well, again, always turn it back, because you want to be more interested than interesting. So you always want to turn it back to say, so let me get to know you a little better, because I can serve you better if I understand where you're coming from. Does that help?
Well, that helps a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I was kind of nervous about him. I was like, should I sign him as a CEO or 25? And I'm like, I'm going ahead of myself.
Yeah. You need to get to know him, love him, and love him some more. And then it'll come to you. And it'll be funny, Sharon, because when it comes, it'll be like out of the blue, and you'll say, oh my gosh, that was so easy. And I was trying to make it be something other than what it should have been.
I think so too.
Yes. And then reach out for us to help you. So I think you're doing great. But yes, and make sure that you're in a situation where you're safe, right? This is a person you don't really know. So make sure that you're careful and safe about the interaction and what you share, but be a good listener. And I'm excited for you. And I look forward to seeing what you find.
I think we're going to Barnes and Noble. So I thought, should I treat him to a drink, or is that even going a little too far, do you think?
You know what? It's entirely up to you.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you to spend money if that's something that's out of your comfort zone or your realm. And you also don't want to create an atmosphere that you are teaching him that he's going to have to buy the drink every time he takes somebody else out, right?
Yeah. So I'm already his boss or whatever, somebody who's going to make money off of him, or expecting that or something like that. Okay.
Well, not even that. It's more about you don't want him to think, because remember, you're setting the stage for his future success. So he's going to do what you do. Okay. And so if he sees you doing that, he's going to think he has to do the same thing.
All right. Well, thank you. You've helped a lot.
You're very welcome.
I'll keep you posted.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's see. We got some. Oh, Colleen, you never have to apologize. I love you, honey bun. Things come up. So yes, use your upline. That's true. Yep. Call in, do a three-way call. Third-party validation is always very important. And anyone else? We have just a couple minutes left. Oh, Nancy said, what do you carry as a preparation pack of resources for prospects? Okay. I always have in my bag all of the catalogs, because I keep a big purse and I carry the catalogs in my purse, but I never whip them out. If somebody who I have been talking with for a while says, hey, can I take a look at your makeup offerings, or can I take a look at this? And I'll schedule an appointment with them to do so. I always keep a couple of stick packs in my bag, but usually they're for my own use. The conversation might come up if someone sees me drinking it, that might be something that happens. But honestly, I don't do a lot of sharing of that nature until we are further down the line of the coffee shop interview relationship. I don't want to put people in a place where they feel like I'm, the snake oil salesman and I'm going to pull the stuff out of my bag and throw it on them every time. So, I actually, and I try to teach the team not, to do the same thing. Right, Colleen? Right, Colleen?
Wait, yes.
Right? Yeah. So Colleen's on my team. And so I always say, don't buy. I don't want you buying stuff for people. I don't want you having too much. I don't want you giving away the farm. So I want you to have them available because they're for you to use. And they could come in handy if someone has something going on. But I don't want you to be in the habit of constantly giving things away. Right?
Exactly. You don't want to, you always seem to waste more money by trying to buy free items for them. And it's not putting a worm on the hook for sure. It's just, you're losing the worm. So.
There you go. I like that. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay. Anybody else? When we're finished with this book, are you going to do another book? I've enjoyed this. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I'm going to think about that. I think there are some other great books we can do. I don't know if we need to continue and just go forward and go back and back and back as we should do, but we do have the recordings happening. It's a possibility. So I am willing to do so because I enjoy doing the books with you. So it's for all of us to learn and grow. And so if we have some recommendations, I've got some other books that I have read and would love to read some more of. But if there's anybody that has something that they are dying to cover, then, something we can consider. So anything else? Any words of wisdom from our sweet Lorene? Do you have anything to add?
So I think you guys are doing amazing. I can't always chime in. I've done a team call while we were doing this book. But I love being here and listening to everybody's input. And one good book would be, and I'm trying to think of his name. I was actually just looking in my phone. because I've listened to him, and with I got the referral from Eric a long, long time ago, and Troy, those guys that I look to for leadership. And it's One Thing by Gary, I want to say Miller, but I'll find him in my phone after we're not on. That's a good book, because when we work with people and we meet people every day, it's always back to what one thing are they looking for, what one thing. You have to stay focused with our mission and what we're here for, and not get caught up in all the different lines of products. Your focus has to be on the mission of helping people. And if you're not listening for what they're asking for, you'll end up giving them or advising them on something that is a comfort area for you and not what they're looking for. And they'll start putting up these little walls because you lost them or you lost their interest. So focus on one thing, and it's about helping other people. And that's just my tidbit for the day. But you're doing great, and I love you for doing this, because it's so needed. We have to duplicate. We have to keep it simple, and we get too complex. And that's what I love about Eric. He keeps things very plain, very simple. His book is a book worth reading more than one time. So it's a great thing. And I love that the graduates are all going to meet up at his event in a few days. I'm excited.
I am so excited. We're 2 weeks. It's just 2 weeks. And I've looked it up. The one thing, the surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results by Gary Keller. Yes.
Keller. I couldn't remember. I was close.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, isn't that the book that Denise referenced for the 66 days?
That's exactly right. That's right. He does. That's right. Forgot about that.
Yep,
so, yeah, that's perfect.
Yep,
Confirmation.
so I think it might be the next one on our list. So we'll see how we go from there. So,
beautiful. And it is in automation, because I do all of my stuff in Audible. So if I read 3 sentences, I go to sleep.
See, I do mine on my Kindle, or my my iPad. So, and I love to highlight and work through it that way. Makes it easy. So
exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thanks for your kind words. I love you bunches. I can't wait to see you.
I know.
Bye, honey. All right, guys. So that's it. It's 10 o'clock. Mark Batterson Books. What is the title? Oh, The One Thing was the one that we were just talking about. So, all right, guys, so that's it for today. Next week, we will resume, and it'll be, hold on, let me get to my section here. Skill 6, helping your new distributor get started right. So we kind of talked a little bit about that today, right? With setting the stage of what we're doing so that they know what to do because they're paying attention to us. So I think that was really beautifully put. So Sharon, Nancy, Colleen, Lorene, everybody, Melissa, thank you so much for jumping in and helping out. I love the interaction, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Make it a good one. Love you guys. Take care.
You. Love you guys.
Bye,
Love
take
you
care.
guys. Bye.
Love you.
God bless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See ya.
Love you.
Thank
Bye.
you.